Poking Fun with Edo Podcast.
Hello everyone, it's Podcast Edo back at it again with another video of our 29th episode. Today's guest we have is our 15th interviewee of Word of Man Podcast. So here is the interview. Welcome to our next guest called Word of Man Podcast. How are you doing today, my man?
I'm doing great, Eddie. How are you?
I'm doing good too. So one of the recent appearance from my channel was my final Japanese report of WHITEBERRY, and also my 5th anniversary special as well. Also, over here is where I show your shield that you made for me for my anime tier list. By the way, before we get into this, like, have you ever done like welding before? Like, did you make the shield? Like, how did you do it?
I did not make that. No, that would be an insane feat if I could make a shield. Oh my gosh, dude. I would make like swords and shit.
Where did you
But
get it from?
years ago, I think we were in a flea market or something like that. We just found it. I was like, bet. It looks cool. So,
Nice. Okay. So your channel is called Word of Man Podcast. So on that note, how did you start start about podcasts from the beginning? Like, what was your inspiration of podcasts?
well, I watched Andrew Huberman for a little bit. You know, he's got some really good stuff on there about like your body and how to take care of it, how to maximize your potential. And I also seen stuff like Joe Rogan, which is like kind of like a different, you know, he interviews like people kind of, but they just talk. You know,
Right.
they just talk about random stuff, like interesting stuff. And I thought, like, what can I do that might be unique? So I thought maybe interviewing just like normal people, right?
Right.
I mean, that's all I could do, but interviewing normal people with maybe an interesting story.
Right. And speaking of which, from I know it's the one and only, but I do feel like you're gonna have like some more coming up very soon.
Yeah,
Is
for
from
sure.
your guest, was he a great friend of yours? Like, did you know him like before the whole idea of the podcast?
I knew him, but we weren't too close. I mean, that podcast was more or less like one of the major bonding experiences. It was one of the only interactions we've had just one on one. So
Right, right. Is he like doing okay like right around now? Like you guys still like in contact?
yeah, he's doing all right. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen him, but I'm sure he's doing well. I see on his story and stuff. Him and his girl are doing all right. You know, they're in college, so
Yay.
yeah.
So now I believe we can now move on to the first and favorite. So would you say like when it came to podcasts, would the person that you mentioned and Joe Rogan, would they be like your
Like first to see,
first to see of podcasts? Yeah.
hard to say. Podcasts, there's a lot of them, a lot of different
Yeah.
kinds of podcasts.
Right.
Not
Do you
sure.
have like a oh sorry.
Like,
Oh like do you have like a favorite one by any chance?
I'd say in terms of like being able to apply everything that I hear,
Mm-hmm.
probably Andrew Huberman.
Alrighty. Okay. Speaking of like entertainment wise, is do you like movies?
Yeah, yeah,
Do
I like
you
movies.
can you remember like your first movie and your favorite movie?
Man, that's that's such a tough question. Jesus, for both of them. First movie, I have no clue, but I do have faint memories of watching like the last Harry Potter
Okay, the very last and would the Harry
as my
Potter
first movie.
Would that like be like your favorite movies of all time? Is the Harry
No.
Potter series? Oh no,
No, the books though.
the books
That's a great series, but I
definitely.
think favorite of all time, maybe Jurassic Park.
Okay, yeah,
It's such a good series.
it definitely is. Speaking of which, for like with podcasts is within things is there's also like music, which one thing that I found like very interesting is like I've seen like everybody pretty much like have like their own type of podcast where like they've done like television and also music. So like so I guess we're just segueing into this. So who would be like what is like the first music you listen to and what would be your favorite music that you've listened to?
I think the first music that I really started getting into when I was a little bit younger was like Eminem,
Yeah.
you know, rap like that. Um, it's kind of progressed into something else now. I mainly listen to Juice World. Oh my God, my favorite.
Rest in peace, his soul. Yeah.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah. All right. And now our second to last questions to ask for this is what is your well, I wouldn't say like first because it's like I think like the last person I asked is just like baby food. So what would be like your favorite food of like all times?
Probably mac and cheese.
All right, like any type of mac and cheese, like the brand or
No,
just like
it
all
can't
of
be
them?
Kraft. That's it. Can't be Kraft.
Just Kraft.
Homemade. That's it. That's it right there.
I
Homemade mac and cheese.
gotcha. So speaking of which, as of your podcast going, like what other type of guests would you like to like interview for your podcast?
Hmm. The next one I have lined up is the reason why it's taken a little bit of time because his schedule doesn't really align. He's
Right.
part of the trio that got themselves into trouble.
Right. I
Yeah.
gotcha. And speaking of which, our last question that we have is what's besides that, like are there like any like new stuff like that's coming out for podcast wise, like any other new things coming up in the works?
Like for my podcast,
Yeah. Or just any like it could be your podcast, it could be like for any other type of stuff that you like to do and you want to like share with your audience and stuff like that.
honestly, I've been thinking about kind of turning the podcast into more of a casual thing. I mean, it kind of
Okay.
already is, just having normal people just come on and talk about their life and who they are, I feel like
Right.
I can really use that and I can make more content with it too.
Of course, definitely. Well, I guess this is all that we have for today, and I'm gonna see you around. Goodbye. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this new episode with not only with Word of Man podcast. Before we get to the shout outs, I also want to give a shout out to Ryan Shover of his recent new video of something sussy Batman that features me. So here is the shout out. It goes to Eve the Fairy, Streetz The Barber, 20 Years Too Late, IMCCTV, DollVT, Lavora Luxy, Jane Goto, Rich Entrainment, Blert Pursuit of Health, Official Navade Zirmong, Lady CG, Nate Can't Cook, and Twitter followers of Life is Underground and Ruby the Pony. So, for the next episode is going to be the 30th episode of the podcast. And as far as my main channel goes, there hasn't been really any updates to that. But once there will be, you will see it on the main channel. So, as usual, I'm going to see you all next time. Goodbye!
Talking